Hey everyone, Sean Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and this is the saddest Goosebumps book I have ever read. I'm not gonna lie, at the end of this book, I had to sit for a second because I felt so forlorn and so sad, and I kind of didn't know what to do it because here's my confession before I get into this book. I am in a don't do sad things kind of season of my life. I used to really love reading like very sad drama books. Like I remember reading this one really sad book. It was called The Other Side of Darkness by Melody Carlson. And that book, it was really well done, but it was a book all about this woman who is involved in a cult, and she's, just sucked into this cult, and she's sucked into this life where she feels like she can't ever measure up to anything. And it was the saddest book I've ever read. And so I kind of am in a season of, I don't read those sorts of sad books. And so when a Goosebumps book gets me, that kind of gets me a little bit. And it's one thing if there's like a sad moment in a book, but this book was just sad, like a sad book. And I feel like you need to be prepared if you're going into this one to know this is a sad book. Like there's just a sense of emptiness. Okay, let's get to the book because we got to talk about this book. So it is Goosebumps number 10, The Ghost Next Door. Now I am part of so many things to explain right now. But so I am part of Halloween-a-thon, which Kelsey over at Slime and Slashers is hosting. And my wife and I are doing it together, and we decided to start a little bit early because we were like, oh, we want to do so much more than just like the month's amount of time of prompts. So there's a whole bunch of prompts and different things you can do, and I'll be talking more about it coming up. But I decided to start early because my wife and I were like, well, let's do it because it's like fall anyway, even though I know it's technically not fall yet as of the recording of this video, but it's close enough. It's September now, so it's fine. It's fall time. So we thought, let's start. So the prompt we landed on, we were playing like the board game. We have a little dice we roll. And so we landed on this prompt that was read a book that involved a ghost or a haunting or a haunted house, any sort of thing like that. So this was the book that I chose to read, The Ghost Next Door, because I thought, oh, this is a great one. I haven't read this one. It's a ghost story. I actually don't know what happens in this one. So I was excited about it. So I read it. And I will admit, I guessed the twist of this thing like 4 pages in. I was like, oh, I better know what this is. And I ended up being right, which was, it was fine. And so it took out the mystery of that because I guessed it so quickly. But the journey, it was all about the journey in this book. This book is about a girl named Hannah who she's living in this town. It's summertime. All her friends are at summer camp and she hasn't seen them all summer because these are like the summer camps that go like all summer long. So she has not seen any of her friends all summer and she's feeling so like alone and lonely and she just wishes her friends would come when she suddenly discovers that next door in the what she thought was an abandoned house, there's a family living there. There's a mom and a son that she has met. And the son, named Danny, he keeps appearing and disappearing right in front of her. And she can't help but wonder, is this a ghost living next door to my house? And it goes from there. I won't get into too many things here because I want this to be a spoiler-free review if you have not read this book. I want you to be able to go into this book without any prior knowledge of what happens because I think that is the best way to experience this particular story. Even though I guessed it pretty early on, like I said, this book was about the journey. It was so heart-wrenching and so sad. And there's this one scene later on in the book where there's one of the characters like alone in a house. And I just sat there with that scene for a moment and thought, oh, I don't like this. This is too sad. It's getting me a little bit and I don't like it. I have never loved the feeling of like being left behind or being like the person that's like you know, back in the house while everyone's out having fun kind of idea. I've never loved that feeling because I like to be where the party is, because that's kind of the person I am. I like to have a lot of fun. And so that moment was so forlorn and so sad that it just got me. And I felt like, oh, I am identifying with these characters so much. Like, I understand this feeling because I have felt this before. And it just was so, so sad. So as far as scares go, I kept thinking, this book is not scary at all. Like, this is not one of the Goosebumps books that it's like kind of dreadful, or you're thinking, oh, what is going to happen? Or like, what's happening? You're more just sitting there reading and you're like feeling forlorn. That, I feel like, is the best word to describe this particular book. It just has this lonely, empty feeling, and it kind of leaves you with that at the very end. Like, with the twist at the very, very end, you're sort of left with that. And it's, in my opinion, it's satisfying in a forlorn kind of way, if that makes sense. Like, you feel a little cathartic because you might have cried, you might have like felt those feelings, and so you felt all that, but you end up leaving the book with just this emptiness. And I feel like this is a book that's a very strong statement about, you know, the people that we love and our families and our friends and how important those people are in our lives. And I think sometimes R.L. Stine takes it deeper than I think he even understands he's taking it, because I feel like he did this in Bad Hair Day, which some people don't love that book, and that's fine. That is one of my actual favorite Goosebumps books because of the underlying messages that are in that book that I think R.L. Stine wove into it without even realizing he was doing that. And this is another one like that. You have woven into this whole story this idea of being alone and not understanding that, you know, the people that you love, the people you surround yourself with, that you care about, are so important, and you need to spend time with them and be with them and, you know, show your love to them. And I think that's an important message for people, because it is easy to get caught up in feeling boredom or just day-to-day sorts of things and forgetting to tell your family and your friends that you love them and that you care about them and you enjoy being with them, and then go spending time with them. I think that is the important message of this book, and it's so poignant, in my opinion, that it just filled this book that way. The emptiness was filled with that message. Now, I know some people, I actually did not really look at the Goodreads reviews for this one because I didn't want it tarnished. These are my opinions about the book, and I didn't want them tarnished by people thinking it was boring or it wasn't good. Because like I said, there's not really any scary moments. This is just not one of those Goosebumps books that has scares in it. It's just not that kind of a story. I think you have really great character development in this book. The main character, you go with them throughout the book and you feel all the things, and it is well done. Really well done. I feel like this is near the beginning of these Goosebumps books. I feel like R.L. Stine was tapping into some different kinds of writing and different sorts of things that he was doing, and I think that The Ghost Next Door was one of those books. It just was so good, in my opinion. Now, do I want to reread this book? I don't think so. I don't, maybe not for a while. I don't really want to feel that feeling of sadness again right now. So I was like, I'm not going to reread this anytime soon. But I do think someday I probably will come back to this one because I really did enjoy it so much. So far, I really love the ghost books of the Goosebumps books. I think they're some of my favorites, and I can't get away from them. I really, really enjoy them. So, have you read The Ghost Next Door? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments down below. So, Ghost Next Door, I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. This book, it was great. It had great character development. While it was real light on the scares, it definitely has the spooky stuff in the sense of there are some ghost things going on. So you do have that happening. And I think that stuff is well done. I really like how R.L. Stine kind of wrote those scenes and wrote that stuff. I think it was well done. And as far as character development goes, if you're looking for character development in a Goosebumps book, this is the one to read, because this one has that in spades. So, until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.